Good afternoon, you're watching the news at 4 p.m. I'm Suesha. Some breaking news coming in of a shocking video that has come to light where Hong Kong pro-democracy protester was pulled into Chinese consulate grounds. This happened in Manchester. He was beaten up. Unidentified men who came out of the consulate and forced a man inside the compound before he could escape. And later on, he sought the help of the police and other demonstrators to get out. The incident happened in Manchester. We are putting out those pictures that have been exclusively accessed by Republic. It was a Hong Kong pro-democracy protester who was forcefully pulled in onto the Chinese consulate compound and then beaten up. Let's get a sense of what happened there. Listen in.
Are investigating the apparent assault.
So there you see what happened. Unidentified men who came out of the consulate and forced a man inside the compound before he escaped with the help of the police and other demonstrators. Colonel Rohit Deb now with us on the phone line. Very good afternoon, sir, and thank you for speaking to Republic. Extremely shocking, this video that has emerged. And this is not even Chinese soil. Exercising such muscle power on foreign land. And this is just about getting their own way. And certain reports also suggest how the consulate said that they were portraying China in bad light and the Chinese president, but the UK government also calling these reports extremely concerning.
Right. I think this is very concerning, like you brought out, because not only is this happening in Manchester, and where there is a significant amount of Chinese, so to say, hold as well in a lot of businesses there. But this high-handedness of the consulate is, alarming because the consulate itself acts as an island of impunity, where the laws of that land beyond a certain point cannot prevail. And for the consulate people to come out and drag a man inside and beat him up, and he basically having to run for his life, I think this is a very poor signal in the diplomatic part, because the security arrangement and the law and order there is the cause of the Britishers, and the British government is solely responsible for security of each and every human there. But being dragged into a consulate takes a different agenda, because how do you then, in diplomatic immunity which everybody has in that embassy, do something like this? Because tomorrow they will claim that the protester was handled or manhandled, whichever way they will portray, inside their consulate. So I think it's a very, very a striking kind of an example being set in overall world diplomacy, where people will now start talking about how a consulate or an embassy cannot be a safe haven for people to be beaten up. I mean, I can understand they're doing this in Tiananmen Square or anywhere else in Beijing, Shanghai or wherever, I can also understand they can do it in some littoral states of the Pacific where they have hold. They can probably also do it in the part of Tibet, which is not their land. But doing it in UK, and that to another P5 country where you are supposed to go by the laws of that country. I don't know who this official was, what defense the Chinese diplomatic entourage will put and portray. But I don't think so. This is the best way of diplomacy to happen in anywhere in the world. And I'm quite sure the British officials will take due notice of this and summon the Chinese ambassador and get into more details. I think there will be enough footage of people, cameras, videos being made there, and the truth will come out. And I just hope that this is not left just because of the muscle power they have displayed inside the compound. It doesn't become a hegemonic kind of a muscle power outside the compound as well. And the British government will be wise and not otherwise to take strict action and probably issue a démarche to that ambassador to tell him that it's not a correct way to, do business and diplomacy. You can't drag anybody. For all you know, that protest was being done by a British national or anybody else. So you are actually, what you're doing is you're dragging a British official or maybe a citizen into your compound and beating him up or doing whatever with him or her. So I think this is a very wrong precedent. The China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs should be looking at it very, very, seriously. And I'm quite sure it calls for a stringent, kind of a punitive remark against the Chinese action.
Right.
And the Britishers will do well to
In fact,
safeguard
certain reports also suggest, Colonel Dev, how there are growing calls for the Foreign Secretary in Britain to summon the China ambassador for an explanation. And also, Britain does give some diplomatic immunity to consular staff. But this again speaks of the Chinese mentality when it comes to silencing voices that oppose them. And the very fact that they are carrying out such an act on foreign soil, one can only imagine what happens in the insides of their borders.
If you take your mind to 3-4 days back when on Twitter there was a video of a Pakistani diplomat who was accompanying his minister in, I think, US, and he was hurling all kind of abuses in an airport, right? Now, in an airport, you don't have diplomatic immunity, but here you have as per the Vienna Convention. But while you are signatory to the Vienna Convention and Britain is, you can't take law of that land because actually you have dragged the person from outside. He was not already inside, right? So there is going to be a logic here legally to say that you have picked up a person from outside your premises, and if that is proven, I think it will entail at least that particular staffer or a diplomat to be sent back to China maybe in the next 48 hours. That should happen.
But let's not forget how President Xi Jinping, who's all set to secure a third term, has said that as far as the situation in Hong Kong is concerned, he's turned that from chaos to governance. So they are very clear as far as their intent and agenda towards Hong Kong is concerned. And this is how they've been suppressing pro-democracy protests and voices there as well.
You are right.
And on the contrary, the consulate in its defense saying that the portrayal of the Chinese president at the main entrance is what they're saying is not acceptable, and they're not apologetic in any which way.
No, don't worry about that because the Committee of Nations is very strong on this. See, China can have any dream for Hong Kong and do whatever they want to do and suppress them and do something in Taiwan. For all the international committee cares, it is a bilateral issue in which there will be an intervention diplomatically or geopolitically from other nations depending on their interests. But to carry forward your, premiership's message into a consulate in a different country and that to UK, to be able to drag in a protester from the sovereign soil of the British into your compound because you think that you are safeguarded with the diplomatic immunity because of Vienna Convention, I think that is something which needs a rap on the knuckle. And I'm quite sure it will happen because this will be some point as well, which will be probably pushed if China does not cede to the British demand for the ouster of this particular staffer or diplomat in the next few hours. I'm quite sure this matter will be raised, in various international fora and conventions in the future, and also at the UN. And it will be safeguarded in interest of the country in where you are stationed.
Absolutely, Colonel Rohit Dev, and Downing Street also calling such reports extremely concerning. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for speaking to Republic, and we put out any further development on that story As and when it happens,